gonna play me a song?
They say my interviews seem more like interrogations, and I don't know why.
Yeah! What chord are we in?
That's kind of what I got there. What do you think?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think your guitar's out of tune, so it could definitely use a tune. Maybe your voice could use a tune-up too. I don't know if that would help, but I feel the passion. I really do. I feel the intensity, the energy.
Well, how would you do that song?
Well, if you're going to be like any worship leader in America, you got to just play the key of G.
I don't have to have skinny jeans though, do I?
No.
Okay.
But I'm going to teach you the secret that every worship leader doesn't want anyone to know, and that is you could play every song in G with the help of a capo.
Every song
In
the key of G.
In the key of G.
G is a key.
G is a key.
With a capo.
So I'm just going to play the chord, and you start singing your thing. Go ahead.
I'm here on my porch, watching the world go by. This apparently isn't my gift as of yet. I'm going to set this down before somebody gets hurt.
Thank you.
Or somebody's ears start bleeding. Thank you. Yes. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, very good. Yeah, Top Gun. I have a hard enough time playing the radio.
Do you?
I praise the Lord every day for digital radios because now you don't have to.
Do you remember when radios you turn them on, they had to warm up before you could actually get sound out of them?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
I remember when presets you had to pull the button out first and then push it back in.
No, I've never heard that. I'm too young
What?
for that. Yeah. I'm turning 40 this year.
Wait a second. You are our assistant superintendent and you're not even 40? Isn't there
Not
some
even 40.
minimum age? Don't we?
I don't know what it's like to do ministry in the 1900s.
What do they call you?
Well,
what am I supposed to call you?
you can call me Andy, but associate network leader,
Associate
assistant superintendent, all of it works.
Assistant superintendent.
They also gave me a role called missions director.
You're way up here at the network office. You know, you were in Forks before you came here. So walk me through a typical day for you. You come in, assistant network leader. How's it go? Show me your day. Tell me your day.
Like in the office?
Yeah, I mean,
Coming into the office, go around, say hi to everybody. I flip on the "We Get to Do This" neon sign. That's like my banner in my office.
Pretty
Let me
important.
know I'm here and I'm ready to get to work. And it doesn't matter what the task is, good, bad, or ugly, we get to do this. So,
it's a reminder.
yeah,
And it's neon, isn't it?
it is. It kind of helped me through a little bit of imposter syndrome because I've had to ask myself, what am I doing here?
Sure.
Why me?
Has anybody else asked what you're doing here?
There's been a few. For the most part, everybody's been nice. So a typical day is come in and always check the email because that's like our communication hotline, especially with Don Dietrich. Got to make sure we're all on the same page with emails.
Do you love his emails?
I love his emails, but it's a lot of emails. I'm writing a report on everything I've done this year. And it's supposed to be like 1,000 words, and I've moved it from like 3,000 words to 1,000 words. So, yeah, everything we do. Yeah,
And you enjoy this.
we get to do this.
Wow. As exhilarating as that sounds, let's shift gears for my sake. Don't tell me about your job. Tell me about your passion.
I get to do world missions, pastoring our missionaries. It's incredible. We just got done with the Influence Conference with all our small church pastors, and that was amazing.
I was there.
You were there. And
Loved it.
It was awesome. It changed a lot of people's hearts and lives. Men's conference is coming up, which quite frankly just really was meaningful to me as a pastor, bringing my guys to men's conference.
Yeah. We got guys going.
I love visiting our pastors. I went on tour for about a year and hit every network affiliated church in a visit. And
so now network affiliated is the new term for, it used to be called home missions, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the new term for that. Those are my passions.
Okay.
Small churches, missionaries, chaplains, men's ministry, emergency preparedness, all those things are what I get to do.
I know you pastored Forks.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your first church, only church, 10th church?
That was the first church I pastored.
Okay.
So I was 28 years old when I became the pastor there. There's nothing more formative in my life than pastoring Forks Assembly.
Okay.
It was awesome. And I was there for 9 years. And just a great community. We had a ton of fishing guides in our church, always wanted to take us fishing. I went on visitation with my son, who was 4 years old. We went on log truck rides, dump truck rides, cop car rides, Coast Guard boat rides. We just did it all.
That's cool. So you grow up in Port Angeles.
Yeah.
Youth pastored in Anacortes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the call to go to the uttermost parts of the earth.
Acts 1:8, to the ends of the earth.
To the
right?
ends of the earth.
Yeah.
To Forks. How did your upbringing and then your youth pastoring, how did that prepare you for Forks? But then how did Forks prepare you for associate network leader, assistant network, well, whatever it is.
Whatever it is,
right
I am. Well, I applied to 15 churches, and because I was so young at the time, everybody just ignored me or said no. But the Lord began to speak to my heart, you're looking at medium-sized, large churches, think smaller. And so I started applying to small communities like Malone or small rural Idaho communities or Oregon. And I was thinking of Forks because that's where my brother Joe was youth pastor for about 9 years. And I was like, I could pastor a community like Forks. It's not open, but I started thinking in those terms. So I started applying smaller because I felt the Lord shifting my perspective. And 2 weeks later, no joke, my brother calls me and says, Forks is open. Get your resume in here. And I was the first one to submit a resume. And my wife and I, she's a city girl. She's from Medford, Oregon, probably 80,000 people. And we drove around Forks for probably 3 hours, small town. It's the
People are starting to wonder.
It's who's this guy driving around? And I was Lord, I can come here, but I'm not going to go unless you talk to Angie. And by the time of our 3-hour drive was done, she said, let's do this.
Wow.
And we went to our interview and just fell in love with the church. That's what prepared me to go to Forks. Now, what Forks prepared me to come here, it became everything. I was a chaplain in my community. Angie was a nurse. So we worked together at the hospital. Everything happens in a hospital in a small town community. Right. So that was very instrumental. Men's ministry took off when I took a group of guys randomly to men's conference. And they've never, these guys don't typically get off the peninsula. So impactful. A gentleman there I brought who struggled for 45 years with anxiety, went to the altar and was miraculously healed.
Oh, wow.
Even confirmed by his counselor. And I knew then I got to bring guys back. So every year we tried to bring as many as we could back to men's conference. So that was big. Missions, I made some big mistakes with missions. I didn't really get it. I remember inviting someone out that I didn't know their name or what country they were serving in, and this is how I introduced her. I'm like, we have a missionary guest today, and she's going to share with us her ministry. And she gets up and does a 10-minute window, and she just blows everybody away. And she got a $5,000 offering that day.
No kidding.
And I realized my church has a greater vision for missions than me.
Get on board, Pastor.
Get on board. My board told me, you need to go on a paradigm trip because they'd heard about it. And I've been invited several times. And so I went with Dave Cole to Thailand and Indonesia. And my heart broke for missions. And so when I got back, it was a weekend event. We put out the red carpet. We had missionaries in our homes Saturday night. We had a preaching Sunday morning, Sunday night, breakfast Monday morning, in people's homes all weekend. We just fell in love with missionaries. Wow. And so those things really sanctified me, really developed me into the passions I have for this role today.
What would you say is the maybe the most challenging part of what you do now?
Challenging part, if I can be honest with you, is you have to make decisions that sometimes cause you to have enemies You know, you have really good friends that you've done ministry with and have to make decisions for the greater good that impact people. And that's been hard. There's a lot of tough decisions that have to be made. I'm thankful for Don Ross and Don Dietrich. The three of us really process all of them together through prayer and with wisdom with the presbyters and executive presbyters. It's hard closing churches. It's hard stepping in after a pastor has been asked to leave, and you're the next voice that the congregation needs to hear. That's hard, and I've never imagined having to do that, but you step up to it and do what you got to do.
You weren't elected to make easy decisions.
Right.
You're elected to make decisions that nobody else wants to, even if they know they have to be made. You know, that's a burden that's been placed on your shoulders. But you're serving 300 plus churches. That's why the rest of us really need to be praying for you, and for Don, you know, for our leaders.
Thank you for saying that.
Appreciate what you're doing there. Here we are with missions and home missions. I'm just going to throw all missions together, whether they're foreign or they're home. People need Jesus.
Yeah.
Here's where we are. Where would you like to see us get? Well,
if I can put that all in one thing, I would say a small church sending their sons and daughters. I have a member of my missions team, DeLon Rance. He grew up in a church of 50 people average membership. And over the course of 30 years, they sent 26 AGW missionaries from their church, 35
no kidding
credentialed ministers with the Assemblies of God, and 26 from other denominations. That changes the whole perspective of missions is putting some faces on a wall to support. That's saying a small church can make a dent, can make an impact in the community, but it requires sending our sons and daughters. The missionaries are not just, they don't grow on trees, they don't come from us from Springfield. They come from the local church. And they're ours, they're our people. And if I could put it all succinctly, all our small churches, all our churches can envision themselves sending their sons and daughters, sending their best in Acts 13 fashion, set apart for me, Saul and Barnabas, the best for the missionary journey.